Welcome back to the Style Stories podcast with me, your host, personal stylist Lisa Gilby. And today on the podcast, I'm welcoming Abby Dufficy from My Tall 40s over on Instagram. Welcome onto the podcast, Abby.
Thank you so much for having me.
Is it your first ever podcast, or have you done?
I've done one other with lovely Laura Schofield, who I think it's called Tall Stories. I did that maybe last year. It might have been the year before, actually. Yeah.
It all blends in, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
We're going to be chatting today about your background and how you got your Instagram account, amazing Instagram account for people who are, you're 6'1", Abby, but anyone who's tall, who struggles with fashion, this episode is going to be golden for you, because we're going to delve into your personal style story, but also some tips on where to shop when you're not really catered for, in lots of high street stores or whatever, like where you shop, the brands that you recommend, and just some tips for any ladies listening to the podcast who are tall. So tall's classed as, I guess it's anything sort of 5'9" and over. Sometimes it's hard to find the right trousers, jeans, etc., that kind of thing, tops, dresses, everything. So we are going to be diving into that. But before we do, could you just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you?
Of course. So my name's Abby. I started My Tall 40s. Well, I actually started it, I think, back in 2018. But as I said to you very briefly, I've always kept my world very small, lots to do with the fact that I've always been a very big person and didn't really like taking up space. So I went onto Instagram sort of quite shy, sharing a jumper in 2018, and it quickly built quite a lot of momentum. And I found that quite overwhelming. So I came off. And then I went back onto Instagram during the pandemic, when we all got quite introspective, I think, and sort of thought, what do we really enjoy? And I thought, well, I love being on there with my tall community, and went back on in May 2020. So I've been sort of here more consistently since then.
Yeah, so we were all plugged in a lot more, weren't we, in the pandemic? Kind of, there wasn't much else to do. But just with the Instagram, so we had a little warm-up chat before we hit record on the podcast, and you were telling me how much you love the fact that you can curate what you're interested in, and you can plug in to your own niche.
Exactly.
It's about finding community, but we also talked about how it's so important for people to see themselves reflected, like real people, real life. Whereas obviously if you're looking through a magazine, you're looking, you've got all these models, and it's all this one size fits all approach, and it's hard to feel represented. So that's really what you found.
That's it. Yeah, that was part of the thing, was that I love Instagram. I've always loved Instagram. I love it for fashion inspiration, for cooking, for interiors. I love it. I think it's genius. But I just felt I had a bit of an epiphany when I was on holiday. I think one year, it must have been 2018, I guess. And I just thought, I love all this. And there's so many lovely ladies who I can really sort of relate to, but they don't represent me. So often I would sort of take style inspiration or be interested in where they'd got things, certainly with influencers or content creators that I really trust, that you can trust them if they're recommending something. But oftentimes with the clothes, I would know, I can tell you now, that's not going to fit me. So it's not tall specific, it's not going to work. But it is a lovely place, Instagram.
Well, that's the thing. You can get all this inspiration, which actually can also have the effect of being really confusing as well. I think it can be too much. All of this, that we're bombarded with so much inspiration.
Oh, yeah. So much, yeah.
It's kind of
you
like
need to really sort of curate it, I think, and that's the beauty of Instagram, is that you can unfollow. And if I'm triggering you, or if I don't bring you things that you would like, then the brilliant thing is you can unfollow me. You don't have to see things that you don't want to see. And I just think, it's that you can sort of curate your own happy place, really. And I mean, I love quotes. I just think all of those, quotes and things are, and some spiritual bits as well that I enjoy, that I sort of need now and again. And oftentimes if I share them, I'll get lots of, hearts or thumbs up, or thank you for sharing that. I really needed that today. So yeah, it's a great, great platform, I think.
I mean, I must admit, I've got a lot of kittens and monkeys on my feed.
Exactly. Things that make you happy. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's trying to find the joy as much
Yeah.
of the time as you can, not sort of go down some sort of doom scroll of going, oh God, don't do that. Don't do that.
The compare and despair thing.
Yeah. Oh, the old thief of joy. Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean that's not good. But yeah, I
No.
mean you're going to give a few tips on where to shop as a taller woman. But what I would love to hear before we dive into that is like your own kind of style story and evolution, because you're very tall, 6'1".
I
Were
am
you
just a little
tall?
bit more than that. Yes.
Tall, very young. Like what has been your kind of journey? Because you obviously love fashion. Your account's amazing. You put great outfits on that are wearable but still elevated and glamorous.
Thank you.
And it's not easy for people who are not off the peg, so,
Yes,
to find these sorts of
exactly.
outfits. So it's just so helpful. But yeah, when did you really get into fashion and dressing, and how was it growing up so tall? Just,
Well, yes. I mean, I've always loved fashion. My sister used to always get Elle magazine, and we would now and again pick up Vogue, and I just loved it. I love looking at all the images and the sort of the creative side of showing, like expressing yourself through your clothes. For me, I guess my style would be, I mean, I've always kept it. I think because I have never really, until very recently, enjoyed my size. It's not been, for me, it's not been a happy experience being very, very tall. I have found it quite stressful. And I know lots of tall women absolutely love it. And I certainly do now, but that's largely because of this community that I found on here. And I think we all support each other. Whereas I felt very alone, certainly growing up in the 80s as a very tall woman, or a very tall girl, I felt very alone. And now I don't think it's, it's quite that way. There's lots and lots of tall girls coming now, lots and lots of taller women. But to me, it wasn't a happy experience. I didn't enjoy it. I got teased relentlessly. And, I'm sure lots of us get bullying and just people being quite unkind about your size, which there is nothing you can do anything about. We're all born into the bodies we're born into, and so I just didn't enjoy it. So I think my style was largely reflected by the fact that I didn't want to stand out. She says in a red jumper today, so clearly I've moved forward. I'm not in my classic black or navy today. But it's always been, I guess I do dress for my size in terms of I love a long wide leg trouser, and I know that that's really, it was very nice on anyone, but particularly on tall women, I just think it's very elegant and flattering. And obviously smaller ladies can stick on a heel, and that's fabulous too. But it's just something I've always gravitated towards. I am renowned for wearing flares. Like, people have always taken the mickey out of me because I do love a flared jean. It's the sort of aesthetic that I've always gravitated towards, is a sort of even, I mean, I guess you'd find me mostly in a little t-shirt or almost a logo t-shirt, sort of 70s style t-shirt, and a pair of flared jeans. That really is my happy place. But my style is certainly relaxed. I like to elegant, but effortless in the way that I guess I keep my outfits really quite simple. So to me, it's more about the fit of the clothes rather than I've never really followed fashion. I just don't follow, mostly because I think growing up I would go out to the shops with my friends and none of it fitted me anyway, so they'd all be wearing their recent trends and it just looked ridiculous on me or didn't fit. Or even recently with the leopard print trousers that everyone's been going mad over, and I think they're lovely, and I bought some in mint velvet, and I think they were their long ones, and I mean, they're insane on me. They're so short. I have a 36-inch inseam, but that's fine. You can wear them as a crop, and they're even shown slightly cropped on the model. But when you are very tall, sometimes it can look not like it looks on the model, like, oh, they're just too short for you. And I think even if people are not thinking that, that's kind of how you feel. So yeah, I don't really follow trends. So my style would be the sort of lovely fitting jean or wide leg trouser and a nice fitting top or a t-shirt. And I always love my jewelry. So I think that's where I've really sort of shown how I elevate a look is with my accessories.
Yeah, that can really elevate a look, and it's often overlooked, but it is sort of the devil is in the detail kind of thing.
Yes.
So, you
Yeah.
then you add your personality. I love the fact that you love a flair. I love a flair. I'm also
Do
relaxed.
you?
I do, but so have you you've stuck sort of steadfastly to your vibe. You've known your vibe by the sounds of
Always,
it.
always. Honestly, people have been so rude to me over the years. I don't mind. It's like I take way more offense when people are being rude about my height and my size, you know. God, you're massive, or God, you're a big girl, you know, that I take offense to. When they start taking the mick out of my flares, then I don't care, because I just love them. I just love them. My son he went through a phase years ago with skinny jeans, and I was like, what? I just remember it so clearly. It's a real memory for me, standing in my sister's kitchen. He came in, I was like, what is with these skinny jeans? I had on these flares that were so wide, and he just looked at me, and I looked down, and we were both looking at my trousers. You couldn't see my shoes, and we were just crying with laughter. I'm like, God, I will do, it's just who I am. I just love them. And he's like, what? I said, well, you know, perhaps there's a happy medium between his skinnies. He certainly doesn't wear those now, but yes, so it is something I've absolutely stayed with.
It's just something I talk about so much on this podcast. If you can really find your vibe,
Yeah.
you can ignore all the noise that's sort of
You
out
know,
there.
and certainly doing what I'm doing. So I'll go and try things on, and you know, even if I'm working with brands and I have to choose things, you know, to style, and you know, you really want to keep it as authentic as possible, and pull in pieces that you really would wear, even if you wouldn't necessarily wear them all together as an outfit because you're showing that for the brand, but that you would wear them separately. But you know, then you'll go back to, because oftentimes for me, obviously the stuff isn't necessarily fitting that well, and then I get back into my flares or my boot cuts or whatever, more probably flares, and my little jumper or a t-shirt, and you know, it's that feeling. It's almost like coming home. You know, you just go, oh, there I am. That's me, and it's that.
I was going to say exactly that. I mean, I'm definitely happy. And I love a 70s vibe. I love a retro t-shirt. I love a pair of flares. I do feel like as I've got older, I'm now yearning for, I want to look smarter. I do. And I'm not a classic dresser naturally. So it's taking me a bit of thought to do it, but I'm sort of adding a bit more tailoring into my wardrobe
Lovely.
nowadays, because I just don't want to look so I'm quite naturally quite a scruff bag, you know. I quite like a really kind of undone sort of.
Oh, lovely. But I love that. If that's where you feel comfortable, that's fantastic. And I think with the tailoring, and I love a pair of tailored trousers and a lovely blazer. But if you can introduce that, and I don't know where what you would call scruffy, but then put on a beautiful blazer on top or something, and some big shades, and oh, lovely.
Exactly, just like, yeah, with the glasses, some really jewelry and a tailor blazer, and you just look, that just elevates the whole look.
It really does. It's so easy. Really.
Yeah, just with
when you find the things you love. Yeah,
exactly. So I was going to ask, where did you shop then when you were because I think you were 6'1", you said, when you were quite young.
Well, I was about 12 when I was 6 foot. Yeah, so 6 foot, pushing 6'1". So by the time I was at secondary school, yeah, I was 6'1".
And where would you shop at that time? Because I mean, I grew up in the 80s as well, Abby. So I know we had limited choice compared to now. We had C&A.
Yeah.
We had British
Bring
Home
a navy
Store.
C&A navy ski jacket that I used to love, with red, green, and blue, no, yellow on the pockets. I just remember my mum bought me a ski jacket from C&A, and I loved it. Yeah.
You remember that piece. And we had Topshop Tall, but I don't know when that came.
Yeah, we certainly didn't have that then. So I mean, I'm really had to rack my brain for this, because I think I didn't have many clothes, to be honest. Like, it's not like now, you know, unfortunately with fast fashion and everything, which I try very hard to steer clear of, you know, I didn't have tons of clothes. I remember we had a jeans store in our local town, and I had a pair of Pepe jeans that I loved. They weren't long enough for me, but I loved the wash. And I would just, again, just wear t-shirts. And all my friends who were going out shopping and sort of doing Miss Selfridge and all those places, I didn't go near them. I was very, very lucky in that my mum would take me to Bath maybe once or twice a year, and she would take me to this shop. Well, there were two. There was one called Annabelle Harrison, which I don't think is there anymore, and another shop called Square. And they had this sounds like we were really wealthy. We weren't wealthy at all, but my mum worked very, very hard. And she would take me there, and I would get like a few pieces that were designer pieces. So I remember really clearly having a pair of Armani trousers, these beautiful trousers, but they weren't hemmed. So they fitted, perfectly. And I would wear them like that. And there, what else was there? Max Mara. It sounds like it was really, and that is high end, obviously, but these are pieces that I just had, they were just timeless.
Yeah.
I think that's just sort of stayed me. My sister did more of the sort of, I think my sister's got different proportions to me. So she's 6'1" as well, but right. She doesn't have like as long arms as me. And so anyway, whatever, she would go and do her shopping at places and just wear them, you know, shorter. She would have the Mickey taken out of her, but didn't really care. Her very good, or her best friend was very tall as well, not as tall as us, but so they sort of, you know, were taking the Mickey out of together. And my sister-in-law just wore things differently, like a lot of tall women do. But it sounds terrible, but yeah, I didn't, it's not that I had this huge wardrobe, because I didn't, but I just had a few like key pieces, because it's not so much t-shirts, although having said that, I have got a t-shirt on today that is quite short. And I'm like, that's not so short. Either my tummy's got bigger, or that t-shirt is just shrinking, or just didn't fit in the first place. But yeah, now obviously everything's very, very different. And
well, there was obviously Long Tall Sally as well, which is, I think, is that, I don't know much about that brand, to be honest. Is it online now, I think?
Yeah, so Long Tall Sally, the lady who sadly actually passed away, I think last year or the year before, who founded Long Tall Sally, was an American lady. The company, they then sold it a few years ago to Yours Clothing, who started out as a Curve brand, and then sort of did a lot with jersey and, you know, sort of long dresses, sorry. I think they started as a market stall, actually. Anyway, and then lastly, they bought Long Tall Sally, and they, they do all sorts of pieces.
Interesting. Yeah. But I think that was, you know, for a while it was a bit of, it sort of was a bit of a joke, because it was like the only place, like, you know, it was just kind of,
well, still now people will say to me, where do you shop? There's that place, isn't there?
They still come up with that. Exactly.
And
yeah, but there are lots more options. We are going to delve into that now, because it'd be great to share some of your tips with the listeners. But I think you're also working on something quite exciting yourself.
I am. In fact, yes, this will be a world exclusive.
Very exciting, world exclusive style stories.
No, it's very exciting. So I'm sure any of the tall women listening to this podcast will relate when I say, since I was probably about 17 and I used to be directed to the men's departments when I was looking for clothes, I used to think, I am going to have my own brand of tall clothing, because this is so awful. It's quite humiliating, and you just feel like, I mean, I've certainly had moments of feeling like some kind of freak, like, you know, oh God, you know, well, I don't know, go and have a look in the men's department. You just go, oh, okay, sorry, thank you. You know, I think a lot of people have this perception that, oh, well, you're tall and how lucky. And that just hasn't been my experience. That wasn't my experience. And that hasn't how I felt about being tall whilst growing up. It's literally been in the last 5 or 6 years that I've thought, this is a gift. And through my interactions with the lovely community in my DMs, even talking about their daughters and their sons, actually, you know, how do I cope with it? And I say, you know, I do still wobble, but I definitely realize now that it is a gift to be
Yeah.
very tall. So as I say, I'm sure lots of tall women have always thought, oh, I'm going to have my own tall brand, because there's not really a go-to place where you just, there was obviously Long Tall Sally, but now I don't know. There's lots of pieces. I don't actually know what they're doing at the moment. It's possibly not the sorts of clothes that I wear much.
Would choose, yeah.
Yeah, would choose. But they're certainly excellent for the tall community. They have, all sorts, coats, all sorts. But I have been designing, and I am bringing my own tall brand to market. And
It's amazing.
yes, it's very exciting. So I haven't talked about it at all. So this really is, I mean, obviously there's a team with me, and my family and everyone, close friends know about it. But I've been so nervous about it, but also excited. And for me, it's about designing those essential pieces that we love. And certainly if you know my style, it's just the good fitting jean and black trouser, and the things that I'm asked about all the time on Instagram and in the DMs. Where do I find them? And certainly, you can get sort of ASOS tall, but they're a certain quality. And what I really want to do is less is more. So buy better. I'm spending a long time. I've been doing this for over a year now. I've had the vision board going for about 10 years, but it's actually been coming to light for about the last year and a half, where I found my people to work with. And, it's so fit critical, that I just don't want to bring it until it's absolutely ready. But I'm thinking we're possibly launching in January 25 with some really beautiful pieces.
Some good quality, like core wardrobe.
Exactly that. Excellent quality, beautiful fabrics, and just pieces that will last you, well, I hope last you a lifetime, actually. So yeah, really excited to share.
That's huge. That's huge news.
Absolutely huge. It's certainly the biggest thing I've ever done. I've never been in business or anything. There's a reason as well. I think probably quite a lot of tall women may even have tried, or there's a reason, I think, as well, why the big boys don't cater that much for us as well. Because we're not a huge demographic still. Right. I think women over 6 foot in the UK is less than 1% still. So, this isn't about the money for me. This is about bringing something that is needed. And I know it's needed because I'm one of the people who would like it. And I have a community on Instagram that tells me it's needed, because when they ask me to recommend things, I'm sort of like, well, you can try, but, unless you're sort of 5'10", which is still very tall, but then you've got 5'10" women with the 36-inch inseam. Yeah. So
yeah, you do, exactly. So it could be sort of short body, long leg. When I trained as a personal stylist, or sort of hardly any of that stuff that they teach you, like the technical stuff, matters when you're standing in a changing room with someone who is 5'10", size 14, with big boobs and long legs and this and that. Everyone is so different. It's really tricky.
And unless you're the masses at the sort of more regular size, where the leg length isn't such a big deal, and so I think petite and tall and curve probably are really tricky, and I can only do the best I can with what I'm doing. But even still, I'm sure there'll be tall women who say, doesn't work for me, because there might be someone who's exactly the same height as me, but they've got a way longer body. I'm not that. I feel like I'm a bit sort of not half and half, but I don't have like super long legs or a very long body. I'm just sort of like
so you might be quite proportionate like that, but it really does make a difference. But to get those core pieces, it's just going to help,
exactly. So hopefully it's going to be the go-to for tall women and girls. I really hope so. I'm launching only with a few pieces. I'm doing it all myself. I'm funding myself. It is an absolute passion project. So it's one of those things that you have to enjoy the journey, and I'm learning that all the time. Enjoy the journey, because it's about this. And this is huge for me. To share it with the community now is huge for me. So, everything behind it is just so considered, and it comes from a lifetime of experience. But the name is very, should I tell you the name?
Yeah, I was about to say, are you allowed to share the name with us?
Well, I think I will. So anyone who's followed me for a while will know that I had my beloved dog, Milo, who was absolutely he used to be in my try-ons. He was always around. And he died. He died very, very peacefully, actually, as only Milo would. Milo would do everything that he wants to do that works for him. And he passed away sadly when with my sister, which was just the most horrifying time. We have one holiday a year, 10 days, and he just didn't wake up. So it was horrific, and it sort of broke me. But what happened was, it made me think, right, what do I want to do? I cannot mope around. And my children are grown up. My son is 28, my daughter is 18, and what is it that, and I just always come back to doing the tall clothing. It's like it's a thing in my soul. You've got to do it. I'm thinking, and I want him involved, because I know that if he was still alive, I wouldn't be doing this. I know I wouldn't be doing this. He was kind of my excuse as well to keep my world small. So when I was invited to things, I'd say, unfortunately, I can't, there's no one to have the dog. And it was a way that I could protect myself. And then he went, and everyone was saying to me, he left so that you would pursue your dreams.
Yeah.
And I'm going, no, it's awful. So anyway, I knew that he has to be involved, because he just meant everything to me. And so it's actually called Olim. So it's just reversed, because I just knew I had to have it. Yeah, I didn't want anything referring to height or anything in it. So it is Olim. And actually, when a friend of mine helped me design the logo, and I thought maybe keep it all lowercase and have the L, sort of really high to sort of, but actually in the end, it's just really elegant, and it's just a lovely logo, and it's actually Olim London. So that's it. So I have I will open the I've decided today that I'm going to open my Instagram handle for it as well, and start sharing some bits of my journey with it.
Today's the day, and now you've shared it with the world.
So this is happening now, because I've read it. It's out there.
It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful origin story. And obviously you're very, very passionate about it. And to have your gorgeous dog as well much loved, our pets. I mean, I lost my cat and I was literally devastated. So I totally understand.
It may sound silly to a lot of people. I understand that as well. I really do. But to me, there was a lot attached to him. We got him when my son went to university, and there's a lot attached to him. And then when he left, I was horrific. So so he's very much involved in me getting out there and helping other women, and that's the name, is Olim, which is Milo.
Look out for this brand, guys, Olim. So I'm going to put a link to Abby's Instagram in the show notes anyway, My Tall 40s, so you can watch the journey there. So we're thinking maybe December or January that will be launched. So that's very exciting. And then just to kind of sort of wrap up, we were going to go through some favourite brands of yours where you shop now. So you show lots of gorgeous outfits on your Instagram, My Tall 40s. So I just wanted to know where you like to shop. Is there any go-to places where you get most? I'm sort of a huge Suzanne fan, for example. At the moment, I'm obsessed.
I can totally understand why. And in fact, probably one of the reasons why I bought this beautiful red jumper was because of that lovely red Suzanne cardigan that there is.
I've got it.
Oh, have you? You've got it.
I've got it. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. It kept going out of stock, didn't it? I know. And I sort of skirted around the question only because for me, I know it's really important that the tall women listening to this will be, hang on, where do you go? Where do you? But, they'll know that I do get some staple pieces from Next Tall, even though I always share they're not quite as long as I'd like them to be in terms of trousers and that kind of thing. But again, you see trousers can be, I'm a 36-inch inseam, but depending on the fit and the cut of the trouser, if it's a lower, if it's mid-rise or something, you don't actually need such a long inseam because they're going to sit lower from the crutch. But anyway, so Next Tall, but I do love my independent brands as well. There's lots of lovely independent brands as well. 11 Loves is a gorgeous brand. Friend of mine, Hayley, has. Wardrobe 44, they have some beautiful pieces for knitwear and t-shirts and that kind of thing. But a lot of the time for very tall women, they're not they don't fit brilliantly. There's certain bits that do, but you know, certainly with Hayley, who I've shared lots of her pieces over the years, she always says, please be really honest. Please tell them how they fit, because I have tall women asking me. So, you know, she wants me to be very honest and say, you know, the sleeves are too short, the legs are too short, but I wear them like this. So I then put a turn up on it and I wear them as a crop, or, you know, I just push my sleeves up and that's it. And, but I love the jumper. I love the color. So, I mean, I can say ASOS tall now and again, but even ASOS tall, I don't particularly shop with them now. I would rather buy better and buy less. But you know, I can even go for designer jeans like Frame, or I'm trying to think of some other brands.
Yes, well, brands like that, they normally often they cut one side, one leg length, and then you have to, if you're shorter, then you have to get them tailored. Because they do cut them quite long, I think, don't they?
They do. Still not quite long enough for me, because I have some and I have had them tailored for me. But I also really, I think moving forward in this crazy world we're in now with fashion, and there's just so much stuff, I do think tailoring and having someone to go to just do a little bit here, or let these down, or take these up, I think is brilliant. You know, I have an amazing lady in the town here. She, you know, she charges £10 for this and that, and, you know, just little bits here and there. And I think if you do love a piece, and, you know, get them tailored for you, don't just go, oh, it doesn't fit, you know, see what you can do to make it. And don't buy, you know, I'm just really, you know, it seems a bit mad being a sort of content creator for tall women, but try and, you know, just buy better pieces rather than lots of bits that you don't really, you're not really wearing. Like, really try and work out your style. And once you figure that out, I mean, for me, it's very same. I just change things with my jewelry, or my hair, or my glasses, or my bag, you know, but keep that sort of aesthetic and that silhouette the same.
Yeah, so find your, you know, your vibes. You've got a bit of a 70s vibe, and that sort of run with you all the way through, which is, you know,
it really has, you know,
yeah.
I love Elle Macpherson, you know, I love her style. I love that sort of boho feel that she wears a lot of the time, but equally in a beautiful fitted suit. I mean, a lovely tailored suit. To me, I've got a couple. I put them on, and because they obviously fit, I've had them tailored, and they, yeah, there's just, you feel incredible. But also Jenna Lyons, you know, Jenna Lyons, I absolutely, and I love her approach to fashion, and how she wears things. I mean, she's been instrumental in changing how we all sort of look at clothes, I think, as well, and mixing it up a bit. And
she was J. Crew's creative director.
Yeah, she was. And it's sort of mixing that elegance with fun. It's mixing elegance with fun. And she's a tall woman. She's 6 foot. I love that whole jeans with a sequin blazer, or you know, a beautiful white shirt with a slip skirt, a really beautiful
track pants or something, or, you know,
track pants. Exactly. Make it fun. And I think that's the thing, make it fun. So for me, you know, launching Olim, I just want to try and bring, you know, we don't need everything done for us, but there are key pieces, the essentials that I think they are, where they're just your go-tos, and you can dress them up, dress them down with other bits you've got in your wardrobe, you know.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, that's the key, to try and put your own stamp on things. And you can do that through jewelry, through some big glasses, you know, through, like you said, like swapping up your handbag. But the way Jenna Lyons, her approach, I totally agree with you. It's that high-low thing. So it's mixing something sporty with something classic, something glamorous with something.
And it just looks effortless. It looks effortless. It doesn't look forced. And I think that's the thing is, for me, I always like to try, or not try, I like to feel effortless. Like this is just who I am. So what you see, when you see me, you will most likely see me in a pair of wide-leg trousers, or a pair of denim flares, and a trainer or a little boot, and you know, probably a fitted top or a little jumper or something, and with all my chains. Is, you know what you love when you put it on. You know, like I said before, when I work with brands and I'm wearing clothes that I'm trying to put my, you know, my stamp on them, and how I wear them and style them. And when you do put on those pieces that just are so your style, you do feel like you're home. You just like you come home and you go, that feels like me. Could be a tracksuit. You know, if that's you, great. Wear your tracksuit and stick a blazer on your shoulders, and, you know, a little heel. Why not? You know, this sort of sports luxe, do that.
instead of thinking what's right and what's wrong, think instinctively what feels like you. I think that's, have I got this right? Have I got this wrong?
It's following fashion as well for me. I can't follow fashion. There are pieces I would love to buy. And I can certainly go into shops and share them with my, not buy them, but share them with my tour community so that they can see how they'll fit on them if they want to buy them. But I can't commit to following trends and fashion. It's just it doesn't feel like me, unless, well, flares are great, aren't they? I mean, they come in and out and I'm always there.
Oh, loving the flares. But I tell you what, when something is a real trend, I actually I don't want to wear it because it's a real trend. I'm just like,
you're going to see, and especially actually for tall women, or for me, if I'm wearing something that I picked up from Next, and don't get me wrong, Next is fantastic, and they've seen me good over the years with lots of things, but chances of you seeing someone else in them, if it's trend led and that sort of thing, are quite high. But it doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's just a feeling.
Yeah, so, totally. So try and go with instinct. That's been really interesting. Thank you so much. Huge luck with the launch of your new tour brand.
Oh, I only thought this morning I am actually going to talk about it, and it gives me that push as well. I mean, it's all going on, that it's all being made, it's all happening. Yes. It's just me being brave enough to come on and talk about it. Obviously, I'm going to need to let people know that it's coming so that they can look forward to it as well.
Well, you have to come back on the podcast and tell us how it's gone, and I'll put the link to Abby's Instagram in the show notes underneath. Thank you, Abby, so much for joining me on the Style Stories podcast.
It's been a joy. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's chat as much as I did with the lovely Abby from My Tall 40s. And let's just pause for a minute, because we got a worldwide exclusive here on the Style Stories podcast. Abby is launching Olim, named after her beloved dog Milo. Olim London. So check out at Olim London over on Instagram. It's being launched literally in the next few hours. Really stylish clothes that Abby has designed herself from a place of passion and also from a place of knowledge, being a taller woman, knowing what taller women want to wear and making sure they're catered for in a stylish way. So that's super exciting. I'm really honoured that we got to announce that on this podcast as well. So I'm going to put the links to both of Abby's accounts in the show notes below. Make sure you head over to Instagram and give her a follow. So thanks so much for listening. If you are enjoying the podcast, please do leave me a review. It would mean the absolute world to me. If you live in London and you're a busy professional, you've got a lot of juggling to do, you've got a big job, lots of meetings, panel meetings, maybe you're public facing, client facing, any of these kinds of things, I can help you in person with your wardrobe. Drop me an email, lisa@lisagilbystyle.com. Me and my lovely assistant will come to your house, edit your wardrobe, and we'll refresh and revive your look and make sure you've got the right things to wear for every occasion. All my clients are really, really busy professionals. So if you would like some help, I travel all around the UK, drop me an email. I would love to work with you. Take care, and I will see you next time.